What if the 8th Kenpachi Soya Azashiro had to face the captains of the Gotei 13 individually? In The Spirits Are Forever With You, Kenpachi Zaraki was tasked with defeating Azashiro, according to the tradition of the 11th squad. But what if the other captains of the Gotei 13 took Zaraki's place? How would they perform? Now this is the same Gotei 13 at the start of the 1000-year Blood War, and the battlefield is the Seirete itself where Azashiro has already fused. On the subject of Azashiro's powers, his Bankai allows him to fuse and merge with his surrounding, and then control all of the matter with which he has fused. But fusing with living beings is risky because they can reject him. Soya can also extend his senses throughout his fusion body, so being fused with Seirete means that he can hear and see everything that takes place within the Seirete itself. Furthermore, he could even defeat his opponent by using the air in their lungs, and is almost completely intangible to physical attacks, accompanied by his ability to become untraceable by dispersing himself. Azashiro also fused himself with hundreds of Gigais. This allows him to create copies of his hands and mouth, and cast hundreds of Kido spells simultaneously, including 90s level Kidos. Now, despite this incredible arsenal, Azashiro does have weaknesses. He is vulnerable to absorption type abilities. Therefore, Kido abilities like Hado number 99 could be effective against him, since the Dragons of Destruction form themselves by absorbing their surrounding Reiatsu. And if you're strong enough to crush the Reishi that he is merged with, it would be like crushing his very cells. And the only other weakness which I think would pertain to this battle are powerful Reiatsu attacks which can affect the majority or the entirety of his body. With that said, many of the Gotei 13 captains who don't have enough Reiatsu and rely on physical attacks would be taken down quite easily. For example, Soifun's Bankai would only affect a small portion of Azashiro's body, and even if she disperses some of his Reishi, he would simply reform. The same goes for Kensei Moguruma, Byakuya Kuchiki, and Sajin Komamura. As Kensei's Shikai and Bankai would lack the range to affect Azashiro, Sajin, who is purely physical, would simply make himself a bigger target, and this version of Byakuya Kuchiki would lack both the power and range as well. And since Azashiro can attack from anywhere, even with the air in their lungs, he wouldn't give them a chance to use 90s level Kido. The next tier of captains have more complicated Zanpakuto, like Rose's Bankai, which uses music in a way as to control the opponent's heart and then turn their beliefs into damage. However, this might not be effective against Azashiro's massive body, and he could likely dismember Rose's Bankai figures by merging with them or attack Rose from the inside. And while Captain Hirako's Collapse Sakanade is quite powerful, Azashiro's senses are merged with all of Seirete, which is too much of a surface area for Hirako to control. Due to these expansive senses, Sosuke Aizen noted that even his Kyokasuigetsu might even fail against Azashiro, a Shikai which boasts more power than even Sakanade. Moving on, since Toshiro Hitsugaya had not yet acquired his adult form, he doesn't have the power to turn off the function of matter. Therefore, freezing portions of Azashiro's body even up to 7 miles would not stop him from merging and fusing. In fact, he could simply melt the ice, the same way he fused with and broke binding Kido spells that were placed on him. Next up, we have Shunsui Kyoraku, who actually faced Azashiro in the novels but didn't fight him. Unfortunately, none of his known Shikai games would be enough to take down Azashiro, unless the Zanpakuto comes up with something new. And the same kind of applies to the Bankai, since Azashiro would simply heal all shared wounds by reassembling his Reishi. His Reiatsu is too high to be defeated by the blood disease. His head wouldn't be in any set position to be decapitated since he's merged with the Seirete. But Shunsui's best move might be Dangyo no Fuchi. However, it was never stated that the waters can absorb Reiatsu, only that they can stay inside it until exhaustion. However, if it is somehow absorption, then that's a win condition. Next up is Jushiro Ukitake. Now his Shikai has the power of absorption, but it seems that the ability has to be projected towards him. And while his Bankai might be some heightened version of his Shikai, unfortunately it is unknown. On the other hand, Azashiro's internal attacks might not work due to the presence of Mimihagi, and Ukitake might be one of the few people here with the power to use a chantless Hado number 99, but he has no such Reiatsu feats or statements prior to the Kamikage. So far, the person with the highest chance would be Mayuri Kurotsuchi. If he has his fake organs, as we've seen with Xylaparo, internal attacks would be irrelevant, and like Cien Grans or Xylaparo, he could use science to create a barrier to ward off Azashiro's fusion, but the latter, having his senses merged with all of Seirete, could interrupt Mayuri's prep. Although Captain Kurotsuchi might be able to diffuse certain drugs into Azashiro's body without the need for breathing. However, without any of those things, you'd be left with this Bankai, which didn't have any notable effects on Azashiro's body when it was used against Uryu, when in The Spirits Are Forever With You, it was specifically noted that Uryu's absorption affected Azashiro's body when he fought Mayuri, since the latter was merged with the Seirete then. And besides Kenpachi Zaraki, who actually defeated Azashiro, Yachiru and Yamamoto, the two strongest captains, remain. Zaraki, who could already burn Azashiro's reishi, was tens of times weaker than the version which faced Unohana. Furthermore, Yachiru was a rival to the awakened Kenpachi, the same Kenpachi who should be able to take down Roid, according to Yachiru's measurements of their spiritual powers. Therefore, her power to concentrate reishi and Reiatsu would vastly outscale Azashiro's. And with her power uncontrolled, she could likely pull off Hado number 99 without incantation. Furthermore, as a person who has pledged her life towards finding those with strength, she thought only Zaraki among all the Kenpachi was worthy to replace her. And as for Genryusai Yamamoto, he commanded more raw power than Yachiru and Zaraki, the strongest Shinigami for 1,000 years. And without mention of his Zanka no Tachi, it was noted that Genryusai could win by simply burning everything around him. Furthermore, he's among the handful of captains who have so much Reiatsu that they could potentially use a chantless Hado number 99 to absorb Azashiro's reishi, leaving him incapacitated, provided they figured out that weakness. I hope you guys enjoyed Azashiro facing the Gotei 13. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and see you all soon. Cheers.